Today on Gamer's Couch,
Terraforming Mars.
Hello, welcome
Hello.
to the gaming table couch. It's a thing on Earth that you have to build also on Mars if you want to live there and you are a board gamer and maybe want to, play some games on Mars, like Terraforming Mars. That's a thing.
I'm Daniel.
I'm Sarah.
We're going to talk about board games, as every week, but this week we are probably going to talk about one of the two hot topics of Essen, which is, in this year, going to Essen, I think there must have been a flowchart over the year leading up to Essen that says, is your game about Mars? Then this category. Otherwise your game has to be about London.
Yeah.
And then it goes into, is your game about building a city? Or is your game about, what else was a big thing? Now I don't remember. Damn it.
The germs have rotten away with your memories in your brain.
Yeah, this is the first of probably quite a few Mars games that will still be discussed. There's at least one other Mars game coming up, but I'm sure that until the next Essen, there might be two other Mars games maybe in there, at least one other. So we'll see. But we are going to start with the terraforming of Mars.
Because you gotta do that before you can go there and live there and have like a human colony going on. You gotta terraform the thing first so that you survive. Like I said, you have to bring the gaming table, a couple of dice, and a couple of games and players that you like to play with. We tell you how to actually terraform Mars, meaning Daniel's gonna tell you all about rules and gameplay of this game.
All about the physics, the chemistry.
Yeah, it's very important. You're pretty much getting a crash course here. You can then afterwards send your application to NASA to actually live on Mars. We're gonna share with you what we like or not like about terraforming Mars. Meaning the actual work, also the game, I guess. And then we tell you a bit about funny stories and experiences that we had while terraforming Mars. And last but not least, we're gonna tease the last episode of Draw for Initiative for 2016.
That's the special final. If it's the last, or is it a different final? Yeah,
it's very final for 2016. It's the last episode that's gonna go up on the webs, or is actually up and ready for you to watch. It's scheduled. We're gonna tease that. Honey has to guess as usual, and then we're gonna do the teasing thing only in 2017 because Christmas break.
Okay, then let's get started. Or, as you typically say in this environment,
beep boop, beep boop.
Get your ass to Mars.
Nice one.
There's probably a couple more Mars references from either Total Recall or The Martian or Red Planet or Ghosts of Mars. Maybe not Ghosts of Mars, but...
No, but let's see how many Martian movie quotes and stuff, references we can put in this video, because I don't know about the video game. I don't know about the other reference that you made that I've already forgotten.
No, those were all movie references I made.
Wasn't one of it sounded like a video game.
No. Those were all movies. Same as Mars Attacks.
Oh no, that's not a movie. That's a tragedy.
Yeah, it's fine. No. Anyway.
If you're drunk, yeah.
Anyway, let's talk about the game. Welcome to Mars. You kind of fulfilled every need you have on Earth, so it's time to go to another planet to terraform it and make it viable as a living space for humanity, or at least yourself in some way. So, what do you need? Well,
a corporation.
As if you don't, well, you could go the traditional route, be a billionaire, invent or try to distribute a couple of cars that run on electricity and then just throw money at the problem until it goes away. Or you solve it by placing cubes on a game board as well as tiles. This is the latter approach to the problem. So, in Terraforming Mars, each player is representing a corporation. In our little demo setup here, we chose the beginner corporation. Let me hold it into this camera so you have a chance to see it. These are kind of the recommended corporations if you play the game for the first time. I have some thoughts later on that, but let's just go with it. Your ultimate goal in Terraforming Mars is to gather
resources.
Terraforming rating victory points. So it's again one of those. If you see a track with numbers around the board, that is pretty good indicator that what's going on. So in this case, this is our terraforming rating, and he or she who has the most in a terraforming rating plus some other bonuses wins the game. The interesting part about Terraforming Mars is that you don't really know when the game ends. You know when it's about to end, but there's no fixed turn count. The ending conditions is to terraform Mars, and there are 3 parameters you want to push to the max to end the game. One being oxygen, so you have this oxygen track on the board, and if the oxygen goes up to 14%, that's enough for, well, baseline living. The manual actually does the work, and it goes a little bit into why those are the values you want to go for, and are also referenced by the events and cards in the game, which is already a neat little touch. We'll start at 0% oxygen because Mars isn't as hospitable. It is hostile, but not hospitable. I think that's right.
Despicable.
Hospitable mean. Almost. The second parameter is the temperature. Mars is cold, it turns out. So it's minus 30 degrees centigrade.
Chilly.
The scale of the reasonable people I want to point out in this thing. And the third is how much water there is available. And in this case, we have these 9 ocean tiles. And as I said, all those 3 parameters have to be played out to end the game. So whenever all 9 of those are placed, or this is up to 14 and this is up to +8, the game has its final turn, or in that turn the game ends and everybody counts points. So what do you do on your turn? Well, the game separates things up. You are playing in generations, and a generation has always the same structure. You could say it's a kind of playing phase. Everybody gets to do something. On your turn, you get to do 1 or 2 actions, or you get to pass. If you pass, you're out of that generation, and, well, it continues on until everybody has passed. So, in terms of gameplay, if I'm the starting player on our first generation, what I can do are, well, 1 or 2 actions, then it's Sarah's turn, then it's my turn, and so on until both of us passed, and then the second generation starts. Actions you can do, there are some basic actions, the standard projects as listed here. There are also sometimes special actions that you can unlock by having a card that says, which I don't have, but sometimes there are blue cards that say action, which you can choose to
I got one. I cannot use it yet, but if you want to show it.
That's fine.
Okay.
And also some actions that are on your little companion board. Let's talk about your setup for a moment. As I said, you have this companion board, which is not only there to host the resources that you actually have, but also to indicate how much of these resources you generate per generation. I now have to say. I'm sorry. Talking about resources, well, Mars doesn't terraform itself. You have to pay for stuff with, well,
Cubes.
mega credits or bucks or whatever you want to call it. These space euros you have here, and that's post-Brexit it seems, are your credits. Your second resource is steel, and your third resource is titanium, with the fourth being greenery, fifth being energy, and sixth being warmth. All of those have a little different applications. You could say the top three are for building stuff. The bottom three are also for building stuff, but more for terraforming stuff directly. Now, how do you actually get the game to end, or how do you win? Well, there are essentially three basic actions that give you terraforming points. One would be to pay 18 space euros to do the aquifer, which means you get to place one of these tiles on the board. It has to be in one of the blue spaces, but that's what you do. As soon as you do one of these, so whenever you affect one of these three parameters, your terraforming rating goes up by 1. So if I place an ocean, I get one thing there. Another thing I can do is I can either pay 23 space euros, or I can pay 8 greenery resources to place a greenery tile. And these are the greenery tiles. The initial one I can place wherever I want. It gets one of my little cubes on here, so everybody knows that's my tree, or my couple of trees over there.
It's a forest.
And after doing that, the little red dot, the O2 dot on here reminds you of that. You increase the oxygen level, and again, you're getting a terraforming rating. The third and final thing to get these out is to increase heat. To increase the temperature on the planet, you can spend an action and pay 8 heat resources to raise this by 1 step. And again, you gain a terraforming rating for doing so. And that is kind of the bare bones of what you will be doing here. However, there are some more efficient ways to do stuff, and that's where your cards come in. Now, our beginner corporation starts with a hand of 10 cards, which gives you a good, reasonable head start for the first game. And one of the possible actions on your turn is to play a card, or to pay the card and then play it. If you're taking a look at cards, you see that, for example, Adaption Technology has 12 space euros listed on here, and it does something and it gives you something. In this case, all these cards are set up, it's either a green, a blue, or a red card. They all have a cost in the top left corner. They have an icon usually in the top right corner that is referenced by other cards. We'll get to that. And, blue cards tend to have either an effect or an action, where green cards are more like here's a one-time gain you get, and you keep them open so you can see those icons. Whereas the red cards are almost like one-time event cards. You also do this one-time event, and then you flip them over and put them aside for later. So let's assume I want to build this Adaptation Technology card. I would spend one of my possible 2 actions per turn to spend 12 mega credits or mega euros, space euros on this. And this says, effect, your global requirements are +2 or -2 steps, your choice in each case. So what does that mean? Well, some of these cards, since terraforming is a process that consists of small little steps building upon each other, you have usually some requirements attached to the cards. For example, you can have the Lake Marineris, which, if you build this card for 18 credits, allows you to place 2 ocean tiles, which is pretty good. Gives you also 2 terraforming ratings. But up here, there's a requirement. For that to work, the temperature has to be at least at 0 degrees centigrade. So my Adaptation Technology would allow me to take that requirement and add +or -2 steps to it. So with this out, I could, instead of starting to buy that or build it at 0 degrees, I can already start at -4 degrees centigrade, 2 steps below. There are also other cards that might have a maximum requirement, which is why this says +/-2. Same thing for oceans. For example, cloud seeding. You're only allowed to pay for this card and build it if you have 3 oceans on the board. If you've seen that when I place this thing, oceans don't belong to any players. Only plantation spaces belong to players, and cities, to which we'll get as well. So on your turn, as I said, you have 1 or 2 actions, or you pass. You try to increase the terraforming rating. You usually have a bunch of cards on hand which you want to get out to, get a better deal. You can, as I said, do these standard projects. You can, for example, sell cards you think you are not worth paying anymore. You get 1 credit per card, which isn't optimal. I'll tell you why in a second. Another thing you can do is to increase your power plant. Now, this is a symbol, or this is a presentation that is quite common in this game. Whenever you have any rectangular symbol refers to resources. You can find them on here as well. The space euros are kind of rectangular, but the steel has a rectangular symbol. The titanium has a rectangular symbol. Same for greenery, energy, and heat. However, if it is a rectangular symbol with this brown thing behind it, it actually refers to your generation of that resource per turn. So if I pay 11 space euros, I actually increase my energy production by 1 for each turn, which is pretty cool. It's a lot better than just getting 1 energy for that effort. Other things you can do, you can pay money to increase the temperature as well. I already said you can pay money to put down oceans, put down greenery tiles, and you can build cities. Cities are quite expensive with $25. If you place a city, first of all, this as this thing here says, it increases your income by 1 point. So you would just put this over there to 2, and then that's your city. Cities become important in endgame scoring as well as greenery tiles. Hoping not to jump too far ahead here, but if for endgame scoring, as I said, terraforming rating is important. The other thing that will get scored is how many cities and how many greenery tiles do you actually have on the planet. Greenery tiles are all worth 1 victory point for each one you have out, and cities are worth as many victory points as there are greenery tiles around them. And they don't necessarily have to be your greenery tiles. They can belong to another player. Another special effect is if there is already an ocean out and you place any tile next to the ocean, you get a little bit of money back because, well, everybody loves a beach and being close to water. So you get 2 space euros mega credits as if you build something next to an ocean. You may also notice that on this board there are little icons. This is a kind of a bonus you get for building something there. So if I would have built my city over here on Pavonis Mons, I would get a greenery resource, again rectangular icon, and a titanium resource. For that I just go here and would just put 1 marker on here and 1 marker on here. The game comes with 3 different types of markers: gold, silver, and bronze. Gold are just 10 units, silver are 5 units, and bronze are a single unit. And as you can see, they're used for different resources in any kind of way. Let's stick to resources. What do you need steel and titanium for? Well, as you can see, you can buy almost anything with space credits. Actually, steel and titanium are not that different. The way they work is if you want to build something, for example, one of these 2 cards, and these symbols show up on the cards, which are also shown on your resource board. If it has this brown little hut, that means you can also pay with steel for this card instead of just using your plain space credits. Also, this little board tells you that one unit of steel is worth 2 credits if you get to use it. So you could actually buy these heat trappers for 3 steel, which translate to 6 credits as well, or any kind of combination. So you could say you want to pay 2 steel and then 2 regular credits to pay for this. Same for titanium. Whenever the star symbol is on here, that is also referenced on the board. However, titanium is worth 3 standard credits in this case. I haven't come across any card that has both on them, so
it's either or.
It's not terribly difficult to do the calculations there. It is, in general, always beneficial to make use of your steel and your titanium. There's no real other use for them except for paying for these cards and making them a little bit cheaper. Also considering that you're generating these resources usually over time. Greenery and heat really just are there for, well, building green stuff out and raising the temperature. Energy is a little bit weird. Energy is a resource that is generated, and at the end of the generation, all the energy that is here is moved over to heat. So this is like a secondary heat generating thing. So then you might ask, well, what do you need energy for? Well, energy cubes themselves don't really have much of a use in the game. However, your energy production rating becomes important during the course of the game, because there are some really good or powerful cards in here that tend to have something like this effect here. So if I want to build the immigrant city, not only do I have to pay 13 credits, which I may use steel to build for, but it also has the effect of I have to lower energy production by 1 and credit production by 2. Now, if my energy production is at 0, I cannot build this card. So there are some structures you want to build that actually require you to have a certain level of resource generation and not just the plain resources. So in case of energy, you could say the production amount is more important than the actual resource you have available. Coming back to what the turn is like.
Shall we play a turn?
I just want to talk through quickly. At the beginning of the turn, except obviously for the first turn, you pass the first player marker to the next player in clockwise order. Then you get a research phase. In the research phase, every player gets to draw 4 new cards from the stack. You look at them, and you can purchase these cards for 3 mega space euros per card. And now when I said you can sell cards again for 1 credit per card, you see that you're actually making a loss by just picking cards. So you only want to have the cards or pick up the cards that seem beneficial for you. Sometimes you don't want to buy a card at all, and that's fine. So then you just discard everything you don't want to buy face down. Other players don't have to or shouldn't know what you picked up or didn't pick up. And then you continue on. And again, you can buy up to all 4 cards, and that's how you get new cards into your hand. After that action phase happens, so each player gets to do 1 or 2 actions until everybody has passed, or usually it's until everybody runs out of resources to do anything, and then they have to pass regardless. And finally, the production phase. So I told you about these production boards. In the production phase, you gain as many resources as your little indicator here hints at, with one little addition. Your space heroes that you get, you not only get 2 in this case, but you get your terraforming rating plus whatever you have on here. So since we already start out at 20 at the beginning of the game, even in the first turn, starting out at 1, everybody would get 21 space bucks. regardless of what you built. And obviously, if you manage to build a city in the first thing, then in your first production phase, you would have increased your money there, and you gain a little bit more of that. So if you want to, we can just do a very quick run. So since this would be the first turn, you skip the pick a card phase. You straight go into action. In fact, I wanna, let's see. I cannot build you. This is unfortunate for someone else.
Are you talking about me?
I don't have a good amount of... whatever. I'm going to play a one-time card, in this case, the Comet. Actually, let me get that resource back. The Comet will cost me 21 credits, so I'm paying these by throwing them at my neighbor. No, not quite. And the Comet says, first of all, I get to increase temperature by 1. So this gives me a better terraforming rate. Also, I get to place an ocean. So I'm placing an ocean. I'm interested in getting some titanium, so I'm placing the ocean down here and get 2 titanium for that. Also, and this says reduce 3 greenery resources, but in this specific case, if there's a red border around this, that means I can choose any player. So this card would allow me to attack another player by reducing their resources. Now, neither it has to go away. I don't get a greenery tile yet. Neither me nor Sarah does have any greenery out there, so this has no effect. The interesting part about Terraforming Mars is, according to the rules, if it has the red border, you are not technically required to take anything away at all. So even though this looks a little bit cutthroat by sabotaging other players and taking stuff away, you could choose not to do so, which I found odd, but hey, it works.
Because then you are truly working together to terraform Mars and just want to shine with your greatness in the way you do that without being the bitch on Mars and sabotaging other corporations.
Regardless, Terraforming
because
Mars...
that's what you do on Earth.
Regardless, Terraforming Mars is a competitive game, so you might want to, if you have a chance.
You can take the high road.
However, you have to agree on a single player. You cannot take one from 3 players. One nice little touch that this game has in general, which I can already tell you while looking at the card. If these symbols seem a little bit difficult to parse, don't fret, because every card has in text form explaining A, what are the requirements, and B, what the card does, which is really helpful. So you always have a really good idea what this wants from you. After I've played this card, I turn it over. Now, I can either say, well, it's Sarah's turn, or I can take my second action. You get up to 2 actions so that you can actually do a little bit of a combo, correct? And just for fun, I want to increase my energy production. So I'm using this standard power to increase my energy production from 1 to 2. And now it's Sarah's turn.
First, I want to play Rover Construction. That is a blue card. It has the effect that whenever a city tile is placed, I do get 2 mega credits. And I'm gonna pay...
And again... the red border says is an indicator for if any city is built. Yeah. So if Sarah builds a city or someone else builds a city, and as soon as this card is out, this effect will be applicable. Yeah.
And just to help with math, because 8 and 12 is 20, that's 2 gold nuggets there. I'm playing this one as my second, which says that I can either increase my plant production 1 step or my energy production 2 steps. I'm choosing plants because I like green. So I do have a green card and a blue card, and it's hubby's turn.
So playing, if I may take this from me.
What?
what you want to do is you want to keep blue cards out so that you can always see this top part of the card. So as more cards get put out, and I'm sorry, you cannot see that there. You want to have other cards stacked up here so that you can always see this. In this case, since this is a passive effect, you don't actually have to use that. If it is an action, that is something that Sarah can use once per turn, once per generation, and she has to mark that action with one of her cubes if she takes it. So that is for the blue cards. Green cards aren't as important what's on here. The only thing you want to keep up is the symbol up here, because there are other cards that say, for example, for every animal symbol or for every plant symbol that is in play, you get a certain bonus. That also ties specifically for this type of card, the science symbol, ties into, for example, one of the two things I haven't explained to you yet, the awards or milestones respectively. We'll get to that. Let's go further with the turn until I say a little bit about endgame scoring. So it's my turn again. I still have 10 credits that I might spend if I want to do so. However, and Sarah technically wouldn't know this because my cards are secret, I cannot do anything. All my cards are way too expensive. Even the base thing here. What I could do, I could sell a card and then spend another 11 for the power plant. But I think for this case, I'd say I pass.
Which makes it my turn, and I make another combo with the 9 and the 11 is another 20. So 2 gold nuggets to the bank. The first card that I play is Adapted Lieschen.
Litchen?
Lieschen Müller. German lesson.
Gives you a plant production?
Yeah, which increases my plant production so that now I have a 3. And I put that on here. And the other card is the GHG Factories, which says decrease your energy production 1 step and increase your heat production 4 steps, which I'm gonna do 0 energy but 4 steps. So I'm a hot girl because yeah. Krieg on Mars.
So Sarah has done her 2 actions. If we had now more players, it would be their turn. Since I passed, I'm out. Even if now I say, I forgot this or something else, I'm out. I'm done for this generation. So technically it goes back to Sarah.
Yeah, I only do have 2 credits. I can't do anything anymore. So I'd say I pass, and that ends this turn for us, and we go into production.
Yes, so we quickly check here. I am at 1 credit generation and at 21 terraforming, so that gives me 22 credits this turn, and pretty much else I have on here. I get 1 of these little guys, get 2 energy and 1 heat.
I get 21
Jump Street
as well. I get 1 titanium, 1 steel, 3 plants, and 4 heat. Oh no, 5 heat. I'm sorry. I'm unable to count because.
So, let me bring in the 5 cube.
Yay!
And then everybody gets 4 cards.
Oh, thank you.
We'll look at them. Angrily.
Make a
and then say
face.
I want to buy 1 card, so I put the card aside and will now pay 3 to the bank to purchase that 1 card. Also, before that happens, actually Sarah gets the first player marker. So
I'm gonna buy 1 card as well. Hold on. Leaning.
And she starts again.
So I just bought the imported GHG, which costs 7. So I'm gonna exchange the gold nugget for some copper ones. By the way, we haven't said that yet. If you pay with titanium or steel and you overpay, you don't get any resources back, but you do with the credits, with the space euros. So,
which only usually means if you overpay with them in terms of, let's say, if you bought this card with titanium, she would have to spend 3 titanium cubes, which would overpay by 2, but she doesn't get 2 credits back.
Yes. So I'm getting...
This gives you a lot of heat, it seems.
Yes, I'm in the Wechseljahre. So my heat production is +1 and I gain 3 heat. That's number 1. And I'm gonna spend the heat now. I have 8, so I can increase the temperature by 1 step. And I have to...
Sarah, some terraforming, right?
Yes, give the cubes back to the bank.
Just to give you a quick example of what some of the cards are in this game, I want to play Pets. Pets is a card that has no requirement. It's a blue card with an effect saying animals may not be removed from this card. Effect: when any city tile is placed, add an animal to this card. So now you might ask, what are animals? Well, you still use these little cubes here, but you would now then start putting them on this card. Also, this says add 1 animal to this card and you gain 1 victory point per 2 animals here. So this card, if you play it, it starts out with 1 cube, and for every city placed, you place another cube on there, essentially giving you additional victory points for the end of the game. Which brings me to what this thing here means. If this little Mars planet on here with numbers on them, those are usually victory points. So that's one of the other ways to gain points for the end of the game. Let me see if I find something else that I want to do, or can do, or
need to do,
or like to do. I think I don't, because I wanna build an ocean. So as my second action, I pay 18 space euros, mega euros, to build an ocean. So I place another ocean tile. And this time I want to place it here to... Actually, let me place it here. So I place it here on Viking side, and my bonus for that is I get 2 cards, and I don't have to pay for those 2 cards this time, which is useful. And then it's your turn again.
I'm just having one thing that I want to do. I want to build the Martian rails. It costs 13 space bucks. This is the space bugs. And it says that I can spend an action and spend 1 energy to gain 1 mega credit for each city tile on Mars. It doesn't do me any good right now, but it might be that later I could do that. That ends my turn.
Okay, I'm not done yet, even though I only have 1 credit, and this I think will be the last thing for our little micro demo. So I want to play the small asteroid, which is actually the promo card that I think got out of Essen with this. So this costs 10, but I only have 1. However, this is a space card, so I can spend my 3 titanium, which gives me 9 credits plus 1. To get up to 10. So this would increase temperature once more. I get another terraforming rate. Oh, I forgot to put me forward for the
second ocean.
For the ocean. Since I got here and global warming is an actual thing on Mars as well, this increases my heat production. This is kind of the lucky if you're early enough. Also, I get to take away 2 plants from any player. I could theoretically take my own plant, but why would I do that? I want to hinder my rival corporation from doing more greenery than I do. And that concludes this card. And so the game goes on. You build out stuff, you increase your terraforming rating. As you can see, slowly these will reach at some point their maximum values. Something you want to do, and that's the only thing I haven't talked about so far, are the milestones and the awards. Now, I already told you that you can gain bonus victory points from cards, and in fact, some cards just plain have a number on here, like Adaption Technologies is worth 1 victory point at the end of the game, as long as you have built it. Lake Marineris is worth 2 victory points, and as seen here, some have these variable victory points. Now, milestones and awards are special in regards to both of them can only be bought 3 times, and that's also a standard project. Milestones work that way. As an action, you can spend 8 space credits to pick one of those. If you pick Terraformer, and your terraforming rating is 35 or higher, you get that. So essentially, you check if you have any of these conditions met, pay the $8, and then claim it. So if my terraforming would be at 35, I could pick Terraformer. If I had built 3 cities, I could pick Mayor. If I had built 3 greenery tiles, I could pick Gardener. If I had 8 cards with this building icon in front of me, I can pick a builder. If I have 16 cards in hand, which is there's nothing to sneeze at, I could pick planner. And these are one-time things. At the end of the game, you check if you have 1 or more here, and then you gain 5 victory points for every claim. Awards are a little bit different. Imagine awards as, well, another scoring category that you can unlock, but that's no guarantee that you actually win in that category. So the first one who wants to fund an award has to pay 8 credits, the second funder 14, and the third 20. If you do that, you pick one of these 5. Landlord, banker, scientist, thermalist, or miner. However, you, well, as I said, are not guaranteed to get victory points for that. If you unlock Landlord, the player at the end of the game with the most tiles with his little cube on them gets 5 victory points. Second place gets 2 victory points. Similar for banker, the player with the highest credit production gets that award. Scientist goes to the player with the most of these sign symbols in front of him. Thermalist goes to the player who has, at the end of the game, the highest amount of heat cubes or heat resources. And miner goes to the player who has the most amount of steel and titanium combined. Again, first place, second place. If I remember correctly, if you're equal on this, then both first place players get 5 points, and nobody gets 2. Yeah. I think. Yeah. And I think if there's 2 second place players, both get 2 points. Yeah. I think that sounds about right. Mm-hmm. You also may notice there's specific tiles on here, like Phobos Space Haven, Ganymede Colony, Noctis City. Those are in fact referenced by some of the cards, and you cannot just place anything there easily until you play the card. Obviously not for the 2 up there. Other than that, tile placement, as I said, you can build cities any way you like. You have to build greenery tiles next to a tile that is your own. If there's none out yet, you just get to place them anywhere. Let's say Sarah also built a greenery tile here.
Why would I build next to you?
There's another restriction. Cities cannot be built next to each other. Obviously, there's cards that circumvent that. So let's say Sarah built her city there. And going to endgame scoring, as I said, terraforming rating is taken into account. Milestone victory points are taken into account. Awards are taken into account. The victory points on your cards, as well as what you built. So as I said, each greenery tile is worth 1 victory point. So in my case, I get 1 victory point. Sarah gets 1 victory point. And then For cities, it's how many greenery tiles are next there. So in Sarah's case, she gets 1 victory point. I would get 2 because her greenery tile counts as well. That's how you terraform Mars.
And now go on, type up your application to NASA and do it.
Or ESA.
ESA? Are they? Yeah, they're working. Yeah.
I think, and
any space agency.
or
Let's put it this way.
Or private company like SpaceX. As that famous actor said, you get your ass to Mars.
Yes, that's correct. So let's hop into the next section, likes and dislikes.
And I let you start because I'm still a little bit hoarse. Hoarse. Hoarse? Horst.
Another German lesson.
Horst. Horst is not a German lesson, it's a German name, which is still fun.
No, we had the Wechseljahre already. With the heat. Said I have the Wechseljahre on Mars.
No, this is not a game about midlife crises.
It's not a crisis, it's just hormone levels that are decreasing and therefore you're feeling like you're burning up inside, especially if you're a woman around 50 or 60 years old.
Sometimes I have the feeling that you just want to steer that conversation into topics you want to talk about, which don't really have anything to do with the game. Now, please tell me, what did you dislike or like about this game?
I liked about this game that it has heat production, which leads me to... No, for real. No, I'm kidding. I had to... Sorry, say that. So one thing that I very much liked is the science-y theme. I do like variation in the themes of the board games that I play, and you cannot always have the trade in medieval Mediterranean geography going on. Sometimes you just have to leave the planet and have adventure
Mars.
somewhere else and just change things up. So I liked the theme of the game, and it's more to the point that it's science-y instead of adventure. So the artwork and everything on the cards is very much in the realms of what you would expect if you in real life would terraform Mars. What would you need? What I find kind of again with the theme is, come on, why do we need space money? Can't we have other resources? Humanity should grow also out of capitalism. You don't need it on Mars. We have it on Earth. That's enough.
But these are different corporations.
It's just like, oh... Can humanity please outgrow the need for money as your main resource? That's just hilarious.
There are named corporations like Thorgate.
Yeah.
Which already sounds pretty good.
Yes, of course, but you could have something else other than money. You could have another resource. It was just the point that I was hoping, or I'm in real life, aside from board games, hoping that humanity will outgrow the need for money at one point. And I thought, well, this would be the greatest thing to, maybe introduce that idea to the new generations that are going to terraform Mars. Anyway, overall, I liked the theme and I liked the way you are terraforming Mars. You have temperature, you need greenery, you need oxygen, and so on and so on. And the way that the resources are then going into forests or having temperature rise, I like that because it's logical. This is how you actually would terraform, so I liked that it's sciencey and close to reality there. From the mechanics, I do like that once you have learned what you do on your turn, and once you have kind of like a feel for the cards, what's in there, and there's hardly any that are double, you're actually really fast in learning the game, and going there. It's super easy to learn. You just have to learn what is one turn, and you have to be confident that there's no card in there that is shitty in the stacks. That is actually why I do specifically like the idea of these starting corporations, because there you skip the drafting phase at the beginning. Because if you play it for the first time, how are you to know what's in the stack? You don't read every card before you start playing. So I really like that you get a good variety there, and you always, usually, you have something that you can do, and you get a feel for the cards, and then it's like, oh yeah, they do something for me. Okay, and then second round you're more comfortable with drafting which one would be beneficial to the point that you say, okay, I'm going somewhere.
So things I skipped for you, as Sarah said, if you have these beginner corporations, usually you have a drafting happening at the start of the game that works similar. You get your cards, and then again but this time you have to buy them. The bigger difference is these other corporations not only have different amounts of starting money, but keep in mind that may look like more like Thorgate starts with 48 credits, but you now have to pay for the cards that you want to keep from that initial offering that you have.
Yeah, you don't start with 10 cards. You have to buy from the first 4.
So if you want to actually start with 10 cards and Thorgate, you have to pay 30 credits for that. Yeah. But the real bonus for all these is either you start with a higher production phase. So in this case, Thorgate says you start with 1 energy production, so you gain 1 more.
So you start with 2.
In the regular game, you start with 1 production for each resource. There's actually a game variant there that extends the gameplay, and there's no joke, a second stack of cards that gets mixed into the game if you want to play with these with the prolonged version. There's also specific corporations for that, and all these cards are fortunately marked with a little red dot down here, which in the variant you start at 0 production. So you first of all have to develop your corporation. It's a more economical game there, where you have to play to the strengths of your corporation. The big thing that is cool about these named corporations, however, are the effects or additional actions that you have here. So Thorgate, for example, has an effect when playing a power card or the standard project power plant, so this one for 11, you pay 3 credits less for it, which makes a lot of cards, I would assume that Thorgate now prioritizes energy cards and goes into the energy production. It's a nice way to incentivize a specific type of project that a corporation would lean to.
Therefore, then changes up the play experience. So, which then in turn increases replayability if you rotate through those corporations, or you draft them or whatever at the beginning of the game. I like that, and I like that this is kind of like the advanced version of the game, whereas the beginners corporations are like the beginner level, and if you add the second stack that Daniel just showed you, you have the expert level, so you can scale the difficulty or the duration of the game depending on what you feel like, what you're comfortable with. And we played with both the beginner and the advanced, and this game, I have to say, and this is one of the biggest likes for me, it scales so well between 2 and 4 players when it comes to time, when it comes to what you can do, when it comes to difficulty. I really liked that. You know, you have downtime when you play with more players. Of course you do. But that time is used to determine, okay, what you want to do on your next turn. So when it's your turn again, you just execute, and then you look at your cards again and figure out, okay, what do I want to do? The turn goes over. So you're never just like there sitting like, loo. Yes, of course, if you have people with analysis paralysis, like with every game, introduce a clock. That's fine as well. But
Yeah,
I didn't feel that it was boring or I had downtime, and I liked that it scaled so well.
I also, this is on the like side. So the game is for 1 to 5 players. You can play the solo, and it's estimated at 90 to 120 minutes, and that is pretty much what we had taken for 2 players as well as 4 players. It is essentially in a 2-player game, you might end up having to wait for the other player just to go through the cards or formulate the strategy in their head. And while it seems, as Sarah said, there's more downtime, that downtime is used by other players to do that while it's not their turn. And I also like that this game usually, except for some minor things, isn't as disruptive. It can happen that someone does something that kind of thwarts your plans entirely, and now you have to rethink, which prolongs the entire experience. But in most cases, you can plan ahead, and nothing really will impede with that.
Yep, you might have to choose another spot for an ocean or a city, a forest, whatever, but that's pretty much it. Yes, you can play rather aggressive with the I'm stealing your plants and stuff, but you don't have to. You can play very passive as well. You don't have to steal anything. And just...
There's also not as many cards.
It's like maybe... a 10th of the stack.
That's how it feels. I actually didn't count the cards.
It's really not a very aggressive game. It's more of a... Yeah, you're building something. Mm-hmm. It's actually what I find a bit tricky, but then again, you just have to take care and be a bit careful and not be the clumsy person and have your pets in another room when you play, especially if they want to maybe hop onto the table. The cubes. Make sure that when it's production phase, that your cubes here indicate the right spot and that you just go over all of the areas here and fill with the 3 cubies, fill up before you can play again.
Throwing cubes to another player is actually not a good idea. Because
no, it's not. And you just have to you just have to find out what at your table is most comfortable for all of those cubes. We, for example, have little ceramics that we actually use for desserts or snacks.
Trays.
Yeah, we just keep the cubes in there and then we pass them around and everybody takes their cube. It takes a minute there, but you can chat and it's just a minute rather than throwing things at the other players, because you really have to make sure that especially your colored cubes are not flying, and therefore keep the cats in another room when you play this game.
Also no hitting the table.
Yeah, no hitting, no and waiting. Don't do that. But yeah, that's all. You just have to be a bit careful, and other than that, I think this is not a delicate game. You don't have to be careful. You just,
it's just because the mats are a little bit slippery with the cubes. I don't know if there's an elegant solution to that. Obviously, this is not the same level as Scythe, where you have these thick cardboard things where you can place the cubes in there or something like that. If it actually really annoys you, you could find another solution by maybe having something like a 20-sided dice and then just turn that side to whatever value you want to have.
Yeah. It's just, I mean, it's if you're a tiny bit careful and you're looking what you're doing, your eyes meet what the hands are doing, then you should be fine. It's not that it's like, if I breathe on it, the cubes will move. That's not the case. Yeah, don't be the Swedish chef, right? But yeah, all in all, I really liked it. I was kind of surprised, like how... Well, it didn't feel like we played 2 hours, knowing that, okay, we don't know when this game ends. It's like, oh my gosh, we're going to sit here until tomorrow, because it takes time to terraform Mars. But then you're so much in your turn and you can really advance one of the 3 conditions to end the game really super fast sometime. Yeah. And then ends faster than you think, and it's like you look at the watch, it's like, oh, we played 2 hours. Like, whoa, that doesn't feel like 2 hours. So I liked that it didn't feel like it dragged on, you know.
Yeah, the game has a nice kind of built-in acceleration curve due to the resources getting higher. Yes, you play cards that reduce them and go higher, but at the end of the day, you will end up with something that produces energy and something that produces heat, and those will, you at some point will say, well, I have these 8 heat cubes, why not raise the temperature and gain the terraforming points as long as I can?
Yeah.
I have to say, in addition to what Sarah said, I really, really enjoy the cards of the game, not only because of the semi-realistic artwork, but they all usually have some little text blurb down here. For example, with the pets, it says, "It wouldn't be the same without them." Or the immigrant city saying, "Taking care of immigrants is costly, but will begin to pay off when they start working for you in the growing society." How topical. Or heat trappers, utilizing temperature gradients for energy production. So all of these have something little fluffy that gives a lot of character to the game. I very, very much like that. I think there's no card in there twice.
They do the same thing. There's like the small space mirror and the big space mirror. They're not exactly the same thing. But they...
No, but I think what I mean is there is no card that repeats.
It's not an exact repetition. There's like...
So you have, for the
categories in there.
For the base game, you have that amount of cards.
Plus these. Yeah. The ones that we discarded.
And they're all unique. They're all really nice to look at. They all have these cool little things. Now, what I did, the cards I read were more further along. Here we have ice cap melting. So there's stuff that actually refers to terraforming stuff, which is pretty cool. And some is really futuristic. The card that you have there.
I like this one. It's beam from a thorium asteroid, and the fluff says, "Nuclear energy is safe, especially when located on a remote asteroid rich in radioactive elements." It's like an advertisement fluff thing, and a tiny little sweet thing that I forgot to mention when it comes to artwork. The back of the cards is Earth, how you would see it from Mars, and I like that.
Are you sure? I don't think so. I think this is Mars.
No, it's Earth.
I don't think there's a landmass this large on Earth.
It will be at the point when we have terraformed Mars, the continents on Earth will have moved together again, and this is what it will look like. I have imagination, you don't. Of course it's Mars when it's terraformed, but I like that it looks earthy.
Again.
Yeah.
Apparently it looked like similar to that a long time ago. Maybe.
Yes, it did.
Maybe. We don't know.
It did. Well.
We don't know for sure. Anyway. As you said, that was more a pleasant surprise than something I would like straight out say this is great. The scaling is really solid on this. Since we're not the big solo player, I can't really tell you if this is a good solo game, but I do understand why at Essen there was a bunch of hype for this. It is surprisingly light in the turn-to-turn stuff, but there's a lot of going on, and I think actually I'm not that hot on you should take the beginner corporations. I think the point there is not that you start out with a beginner corporation card. The thing is that you get a feel for what cards are in this deck.
Yes.
And what they do and what you want to go for.
It's pretty much a variant for the first game, and then you discard those cards.
I think that you could also have a really good start with the game by just going with the regular corporations and then saying, well, take a look at, for example, what icon is up here and try to kind of focus on those kinds of buildings or structures that you want to build, or just read on what the text says and try to go in that direction. If it gives you a bonus for building cities, maybe you should try to build cities, or pick up cards that lets you build cities and do that. Also, just as a starting tip, try to pick a couple of cards that are actually buildable early on. That don't go for the card that looks super awesome but requires you to have a temperature of +4 degrees centigrade, because it'll take some time to get there. So it's I very much like the balance on a turn-to-turn base, trying to, okay, I want to move into that direction, picking cards that are kind of close to getting there as the requirements are met, and then building up your little engine, because we haven't seen too many of those cards, but there are a couple of cards that generate resources for other cards, and you build up your little point engine there that you want to have running while you are pushing forward to terraform Mars and end the game and do all that. Even though there's not a lot of interaction with other players, at least when we played it, I felt that I was busy enough with getting my engine running.
And what we do to not have it too quiet at the table, we read out what we do with the cards. We put them down, we pay for them, and then we tell everybody else what we're doing, which then says or is maybe a starter for a little joke or something. But you could,
I wouldn't recommend this game as an entry-level game if you are not super familiar with board games. But I think if you are or know someone who's already familiar with some basic games, I think actually a good game that would help doing before this is kind of Dominion or any deck builder. You're not building a deck, but it's the same feel I get from these cards by, okay, I want to have this increases that. While the cards themselves are not getting back into your hand and replaying, but the effects through these resource generation that happens there, you feed the engine. There's certainly an engine going.
You could also say if you have played something like Taverna or Fresco, you would be suitable for this game, definitely. It has the same feel, so though they all do different things, but they do have the same feel to be very comfortable with this game.
One thing that might be interesting, but we haven't tried that, there's also a variant in there that says you could draft like the selection of cards before you're buying. So that actually might go into a direction where you have this Blood Rage kind of feel, where you will first draft the cards, and then from those drafted cards you get to purchase them or not. So you could actually deny some super awesome cards to someone else if you knew that you don't want to do that. But to be honest, for the first couple of games, I was busy enough with my stuff. I actually never had the time or the nerve to look at what other people's overarching strategy are. I probably, if that is you, this still works. I mean, you can then eagle eye out and try, okay, they want to do this, so they're pushing for the temperature bonus there, but if I can get that bonus beforehand, I might cut them off and do some more disruptive thing there.
Yeah.
Which also
that all adds to replayability, I think. Though this is not very heavy on a story, and it's not a campaign, and it's very repetitive with the turns. In every game you play, you can tweak and twist things here and there to have a different kind of an experience, even in game 15, for example. So it's not gonna get boring, I think, though it's not very thick on a story or a campaign element there.
Also, don't be misguided. While the board is nice to look at, I would say that actually maybe only 30% of the game happens on the board. Yeah. Ultimately, yes, you are terraforming Mars, and this will end up looking like, well, a planet with blue, green, and, well, city spaces. But the majority of stuff, the entire focus will be in front of you, will be those cards that you played with new actions that open up, that you may combine with other actions maybe, or generate some stuff here and there. And
that is actually why I'm kind of surprised that they just have this kind of a board where this is actually where way more stuff happens than here. So I thought maybe they would have had like a cardboard board like they do have with Scythe. I'm just surprised. I'm not saying this is bad, but it would have. I would have said, okay, it's definitely worth having like a solid cardboard board.
And that is maybe the only thing that's a little bit flimsy. These I really like these cubes with the.
They have rounded edges. You cannot really stack them.
They just feel nice to handle. Well, obviously, if you don't like counting a lot,
have a calculator, or somebody that is very, very good at counting fast and doing math in their head. Shall we rate, my love?
Yes.
So 1, 2, 3. I'm having the slight tilt because of that board. I wish it would be a sturdier board, but that's the only thing. And maybe
I'm not as clumsy as you, so I don't mind.
Maybe I can have a wooden board. Can you make me one, please?
But I have to say I like the theme of this, the terraforming part. So that's a really good start. I hope that the other Mars games that come up can hold up to this. I like these build your engine types of games. It almost feels like, I've accomplished something. I've built something. And in that regard, the mechanics of the game pick up on the theme pretty nicely.
Yeah. It's not just plastered on. It's nice.
I have to say the event cards are all pretty neat because they're always stuff like, hey, we shot the moon out of the sky to harvest it for resources, or a big asteroid went in there, or we're just nuking that other thing there to make space for something because who cares? And they have some really, really neat sci-fi fluff in there.
Yeah. So let's hop into the last section, funny stories and experiences. So we played this game twice. First, just the two of us to learn the game and to test the game, of course. And then we played it with 4 people. And that there, with the 4-player game, that was kind of like the revelation game. Meaning, I was very pleasantly surprised that it scaled so well. We had played it for 2 hours, the two of us learning the game.
We were worried a little bit after the 2-player game.
It's like, oh my gosh. But then we taught the game to the other 2 players, and we played exactly 2 hours as well, because like I said, everybody was thinking what to do while it was somebody else's turn, and then you just execute. The longest thing that we had was doing the math at the table when buying things, or can I do this or that, for the new players, of course.
We're not math shaming any of our...
No, but it's a lot. And we played with the corporations, with the advanced, with the 4 players. So we introduced that right away, which is for somebody to learn it not with the beginner's corporation, but go through the cards, not knowing them with the advanced one. Of course, you have some more questions, and that takes a bit longer then. But we played exactly 2 hours with 4 players as well. And I really, really, really liked that, because I mean, and it scaled super well.
It slows a little bit down towards the end simply because everybody has so many effect cards in front of them that sometimes it's like, okay, I'm doing this, okay.
And then everybody, I need a cube, I need a cube, I need a cube, I'm getting this, I'm getting this. But it doesn't feel slow.
No.
Not at all. It's actually exciting to say, please build that ocean, I get something there if you build it.
Despite some pretty steep point swings happening through the game, we always ended up pretty close towards each other. Yes. There was never something like a runaway winner that had twice as many points.
In the first game we were 8 points apart. We were about 25 points apart throughout the game, like mid game, because you played a different strategy that I did. But in the end, we were 8 points apart, and when we played with the 4 players, we were like,
first and second were
like
5 points
10,
apart,
15 points apart maximum. So we were like here, and the 2 of us were down
and
here.
everybody was kind of doing something different, which is also pretty nice.
And I didn't feel that anybody was stuck. They always could do something valuable for them in their turn, and I like that.
It's also not that, hey, if you start off with this corporation, this is the definitive strategy that you have to play. What I like about this is you get the cards and you get to do the best out of your cards. Yes, it is cool if you can utilize a little discount that you're getting or some additional bonus over the long run. But I think that it actually has to do with, since you don't really know when the game will end, there's no definitive, I have to do this now because in 2 turns this is over or this has to happen. You have a little bit time to develop things, and then due to the escalation, yes, it speeds up at the end, and everybody's like, oh yeah, I need 2 points here, and then 3 greenery tiles, and at the end, at the last turn, you get to buy as many greenery stuff as you can from your leftover stuff. But it's a race, but it's mostly during the game a slow race, but it speeds up at the end of the game.
Yeah, definitely. But I really liked it. I'm looking forward to playing this with the full set of our gaming group.
Yep.
Yeah. So let's go into the last teeny tiny thingy here. Let's tease
paint down
for 2016. No. Don't worry, we're working in the background. We're gonna come back in 2017, of course. But
not me. I'm not painting in 2017, but they are.
We are. So the game that we chose to be the last for 2016 is very timely to the time of the year.
Is it happening on Mars?
No.
Is it happening in London?
No.
Then it's not hot and new.
No, it's not. It's very hot, but it's not new. So the game fits very well with the current time of the year.
Christmas.
It's Halloweeny. It's All Saints next week. So Monday, Tuesday. Monday is Halloween, Tuesday is All Saints, and Wednesday it's Draw for Initiative. It's just fits perfect. You have to...
Sola Fide.
No.
Because it's All Hallows Eve, no?
No. It's about the spooky beings that roam in the area and scare people, and you have to fight them off.
So it's about stockbrokers.
No. It's it plays in Asia. And it has quite some dice rolling.
Is it
with lovely colors?
Is there a possibility that this game was done by your favorite designer?
Yes.
Then I know it's Samurai Spirits.
No, it's not.
But they have animal heads. That's very Halloweeny. It's like a werewolf.
I know, but it's not Samurai Spirit. that we painted.
Then it must be Takenoko, the other Asian game.
That we already have painted a couple of episodes ago.
Okay. Well, then leaves only Tokaido.
No. That we already painted a couple of episodes ago.
Well,
and before you go to Rampage, that we painted a couple of episodes ago.
That's not Asian. But I think I gave you very, very good basis for what you're looking for. What kind of game that could be. I
didn't give the ultimate hint for a reason, because then everybody knows us and is not guessing anymore.
Well, also, this has to be nightmare difficulty, because otherwise this game is not fun. It's actually never fun. It's
hell. But we made it.
You're trying to win against this.
We did. We didn't make it. It took us months to win on that one level, and we never played at that level again. But we made it.
For good reason.
Yeah, we made it.
Probably we made a mistake and didn't notice, but we don't want to know. Don't tell us.
Yeah, so that's the game that's gonna come up on Wednesday, 9 a.m. CET on this channel. And yeah, we hope you have a great weekend. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comment section below. If you celebrate Halloween, we hope you have a safe and lovely Halloween. Be careful with the sugar rush. It's like, woohoo!
Also, don't...
have some veggies in there as well.
And
to counteract the sugar.
Surprise. Things not to do. So, topical news.
Scary clown.
If you're in Germany, dress up as a clown with a chainsaw in hand and show up on the street to scare people.
They did that in the States too, with a mask from the It, Stephen King clown. They have the same thing going on.
Going with tools that might seriously hurt someone on the street to scare them. Don't be surprised.
Don't be a dick.
If someone might not react as favorable to that as you might have thought.
Be a reasonable.
Don't be a dick.
Be a reasonable person. Enjoy Halloween. I hope you all have great costumes. Well, you can send photos if you're like, I'm goofing off. I'm not celebrating Halloween here, but I do love the pumpkin. Just saying. Also, if you, celebrate All Saints Day the next day, if you're maybe just lying there in a food coma, I don't know. Well, enjoy that holiday as well. We will have a day off, so maybe we have time to play on Tuesday. If you have any other things you want to throw at us, questions, comments, or maybe a game you want to see on the Gamers Couch next, leave it in the comments, leave it on the BGG Geek List. Feel free to contact us there, and we're going to see you next Sunday with a new game on the Gamers Couch.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Do other good YouTube stuff too. Like, share, subscribe. Boo-hoo!
Yeah. Boo! Hi.
Halloween. Are you good?
Goodbye.
Do I need to perform CPR?
No, I'm just on my...
Thank God.
I'm a werecat coughing up already.
The fur ball. All right. Bye.
Leave now.
Leave. Run. Hocus pocus.